Let me introduce myself real quickly. My name is Richard Swartz. I teach the GMAT class here for Ready for GMAT on Monday and Wednesday nights. I have over 15 years of teaching experience in GMAT, probably more like 20 years of teaching experience total if you include my background in math and physics. So I did these intro sessions, these free webinars last night and a couple nights, evenings last week. Introducing sort of the quant and the verbal for the GMAT. What I'd like to know real quick is I definitely recognize some names, so Firas, Abdul, maybe one or two others in here as well. Have you come to one of my webinars before, or taken one of these classes before? And you can just click on yes or no on the screen real quick, and I'll get a clear idea about that. Okay, thank you guys. So it looks like most of you have. Okay, that's great. That'll speed things up a little bit. I'll share the results. Well, it's probably not that important to you guys. Yeah, well, I don't want to repeat myself too much, but I will tell you about myself a little bit. So I'm from Indiana. I went to Indiana University for my bachelor's degree. I majored in math and physics. I went to Stanford University for my master's in applied physics. I also have an MBA with a concentration in finance from Assumption University in Thailand, and I've also passed all 3 levels of the CFA program, and I'm hoping to earn my CFA charter soon. I've taken the GMAT test itself 3 times. My official scores are 750, 770, and 800. The time I got 800, I did get a full score in both math and verbal, so I got perfect both in 51 in math and 51 in verbal. So part of the reason why I teach this course is I want to try to share with you guys the knowledge that I acquired, in my studies, and hopefully give you guys a chance to pick it up and apply it and use it in your own studies as much as possible. So please, just think of it as me trying to open your minds up as many ways as I can, showing you different techniques, different strategies, and getting you guys to the point where you feel that you're ready for the GMAT. As far as the outcome goes, I'll just say real quickly that I typically don't expect people to be 100% prepared for the GMAT the day this class ends. There's a lot of information in this class you're going to get thrown at you. It usually takes a little while for your brain to kind of juggle all that information and put it together in a coherent order. And plus, you also need time to go through the homework and do more practice tests. So my recommendation is typically that you take the GMAT around 4 weeks or so after you finish this class. So this class is going to go until the middle of December, roughly. So I'd recommend you take the GMAT. It depends a little bit from person to person. If you've studied more already, maybe you can take it earlier. But I would say maybe early January or mid-January would be kind of the time frame I'd be shooting for if you're taking the GMAT out of this class. If you need to take it before then, please talk to Julie about maybe getting some arrangement of watching other videos or something. And see if you can accelerate your studying a little bit, but just kind of on average, I'd say that it's usually about a month after this class is over. So while I'm getting started here, I should have asked you guys to do this already, but please feel free to introduce yourself using that question panel in the webinar. So let me know who you are, where you're located. If you're in some exotic location like Singapore or the Maldives or someplace, or Jamaica, please let me know that. So I'm here in Chicago, and it's 7 p.m. Local time for me. 8 p.m. Eastern time for the Ready for GMAT official time, and then who knows what time it is wherever you are. Okay, so tonight's plan is to start with the quant. We'll probably spend about half of our class, or slightly more than half the class, on number theory and number theory 2. Usually around the halfway point of the class, we'll take a 5-minute break, or I take a 5-minute break, and you guys can do the same if you'd like. And then after the break, we'll come back and get into the verbal. So we'll start on sentence correction tonight and critical reasoning, and then get you guys started on some of the concepts in the verbal part of the test. So let me just see who else is here. Alexander from New York City. Okay, great. Hi. So I'm just going to type in a quick comment. I don't think you guys can see each other's comments unless I actually answer on them. So Vanessa and Santa Barbara at 5 p.m. Great. Santa Barbara, very nice place. I wish I was there. Let's see. Kendra. Yeah, hi Kendra. I remember you came last week. Sure, I recognize your name in Atlanta. Abdul from Southern California. Hi, Abdul. And then Kamul Mavianov is from New York. Big Four accounting firm, MBA, originally from Uzbekistan. Aha, okay. Yeah. Asifai from Indonesia, currently enrolled in South Korean University language course. Wow, okay. Firas from Chicago. Hi, Firas. Oh, Firas, I didn't know you were in Chicago too. Okay. And then Priska from Gadsburg, Maryland. Nice to meet you. Charlie from Canada. Charlie Hojnik. Okay, great. Rami is in Doha. Okay, wow. Yeah, you know, I landed in Qatar's airports one time, and I was on my way to Bahrain. I've never actually been, I never really stayed in Qatar though. Renner from Oman. Okay, good. So we got a lot of international here. Okay, well that's a good thing. So I did live in Asia for 15 years, and I do have a lot of experience teaching foreign applicants, and I kind of know the ins and outs of the English language from both sides, from the native side and from the non-native learner side. And Julie, our coordinator, is in Exotic Virginia, USA. Okay, fantastic. Okay, well, let me jump in now. I think we should get started. So the quant has, yeah, here we go. Excuse me, I gotta get my pen ready. So the quant has 37 questions. There we go, so beautiful. And about 75 minutes. So that means on average you have about 2 minutes per question. I give less than that in class just because I want to get through more problems and give you guys a little bit of time pressure, but that's sort of the average is around 2 minutes. Roughly speaking, it's about 50-50 between problem solving and data sufficiency. The times I've taken the GMAT, I actually counted the problems, and I've always had numbers that look like this, 19 or 20 questions in problem solving, and 17 or 18 questions in data sufficiency. One big issue in problem solving is it's very much about logic and reasoning, about comparisons, and in particular in using the 5 answer choices as part of the information in the question. And another great point, there's definitely multiple ways to solve problems. Often the best method is not based on any kind of theory. The best method is often the one that just makes the numbers nicer along the way. Data sufficiency is about finding the information that you need to be able to answer the question. I showed a flowchart in the quant session this week. I'll load up that same flowchart later on tonight, but I'm not going to go through it in quite as much detail. And then this phrase, for sure, you're going to hear me say this many, many times, POE, or process of elimination. So basically the idea is that you want to go from 5 answers down to 4, from 4 answers down to 3, 3 answers down to 2, and then 2 answers down to 1. And the idea there is that 4 wrong answers do make 1 right answer. So you have another way to get the question correct. Okay. So then you have a kind of a model problem-solving question here. So just as a quick pointer, I always try to jump into the question and find the part of the question that's the question part of the question. Or I often call that the question stem. That's the part that says what, how much, how many, that sort of thing. And the other thing is that the 5 answer choices, the 5 numbers that are given in the 5 answer choices are part of the problem, okay? And so you can use these numbers as hints to try to help you decide what calculation you should do or what strategy you should apply to try to solve the problem, okay? So like real simple, for instance, if I see fractions here, you probably want to do the problem-solving fractions. If you see decimals here, then probably you want to convert to percentages or decimals and do it that way. Just little things like that. Data sufficiency is slightly different. So they give you a question here. So they ask you for some quantity, or they ask you a yes or no question, and then Wow, Anne is very far away as well. Okay. So they ask you a question stem, and then they give you two facts down here. So one kind of beginner mistake that people sometimes make is they think that this is like a true or false question. That is not correct at all. These these two statements are always true, right? So you don't have to decide if they're true or false. What you're trying to do is try to decide if they are enough information to answer the question that was being asked, okay? And then the 5 answer choices give you different combinations of what the 5 answers. I keep saying 5. The 5 answer choices give you different combinations of what the two numbers, the two statements. Every one of those days where your brain is just disconnected from your mouth, the 5 answer choices give you different combinations of the two statements that will be enough to answer the question. That was quite rough on me. So let me maybe start this over again. So statement number 1, essentially, choice A says that statement 1 is enough, number 2 alone is not enough. B says that 2 alone is enough, but 1 alone is not. C says that 1 alone is not enough, 2 alone is not enough, but if you combine 1 and 2 together, they are enough. D says that 1 alone is enough and 2 alone is enough. E says that 1 alone is not enough, 2 alone is not enough, and even if you combine the statements together, they're not enough. One point about this I also want to make is that when you're testing the statements, you always need to test the statements alone before you combine them together. Okay? Combining them together is only a last resort if you don't get A, B, or D as the answer. Okay? So you need to test 1 alone and then test 2 alone before you combine them. If you combine the statements together too soon, the most common trap answer that you'll fall into is choice C. Now, all 5 answers are correct roughly 20% of the time. That's the statistics of the test. But the most common wrong answer for beginners is choice C. Okay. So if you look at your previous practice, especially if you're a beginner on this, and you look at your wrong answers and what you chose, C is usually the most common wrong answer on data sufficiency for beginners. When you get more advanced, you make other mistakes, but for beginners, it's C.